Are you thinking about custom software but still hesitating? Making bad decisions in software development can be expensive, but the right decisions unlock efficiencies across your whole business and give you an edge that your competitors just can't touch. Here are the 6 things everyone should know before starting a software project so you can make the right decisions and see returns from your investment. The first thing to understand is the project management style. In software development, there are basically 2 main approaches. There's Agile and Waterfall. With Agile, you break the work up into development sprints that usually last about 1 to 3 weeks. In Waterfall, you plan and build the whole thing, and then if anything needs to change, you need change orders and you need to go back and sometimes rework a large portion of the project. And things are always changing in software projects, so Agile is definitely the way to go. And that allows you to get the features back in your hands really quickly. At the end of each development sprint, you should have some features that you can test out. Communicate with your development team and let them know if they're getting off track or if it's not quite what you had in mind, rather than having to wait until the end of the project or halfway through the project to know whether they're on track. So make sure that you find somebody who's using agile techniques and who is going to turn those features around quickly for you to try out along the way. The second thing you're probably wondering about is the timeline and cost to get your project done. Again, there are 2 main approaches. With a fixed price model, you know exactly what you're going to pay before any work gets done. And that might sound nice at first, but the truth is that with a fixed price, someone always loses. Usually the developers have to estimate super high to make sure that they can make some money on the project, or they're too optimistic and estimate low and they end up losing money on the project. Either way, someone loses. It's never a win-win scenario. The right way to do this is a time and materials model. That means you're paying an hourly rate for the work the developers are doing for you. So you pay exactly what it takes to get your project done. No more, no less. Make sure you look for somebody who's going to provide you with an estimate for each development sprint throughout the whole project. The reason for that is that things change. A lot of times you'll make decisions and build things early in the project that will change how you make decisions later on. So you want to make sure that they're planning and providing an estimate for each development sprint for you to approve before they get started. The third thing is the quality of the software. You don't want to build an app that's riddled with bugs. You want it to work and work right. With software, you really need to trust the process. Kind of like with a painting or a drawing, it comes together with time. And at the start of your project, you're going to notice a lot of bugs. A good development firm will be upfront with you about this. And they should also be able to tell you what their average number of bugs per 1,000 lines of code is. That's a common metric in the industry to measure code quality. And basically, over time, as your project goes, you should see that number drop off significantly. At every development sprint, you'll be running testing of the application to make sure that it works properly in all the scenarios that you can think of for how your users will end up using the application. So make sure you ask them what their testing process is like and ask them about metrics like bugs per 1,000 lines of code. Next up is the lifespan of your application. This is something that a lot of people are wondering about because if you're building custom software, you're probably thinking about long-term investments in your business and setting yourself up for long-term success. Every app is going to have a lifespan. It's not going to exist forever unless you keep updating it and maintaining it properly. The newest security protocols, the newest services out there on the web that it needs to interact with. And that brings us to number 5, which is support. You really should look for a development firm that offers ongoing support and maintenance and can make updates if you ask them to. So maybe you think of a new feature that you want to add, or you need it to communicate with a new service in another part of your business. The development team that you work with should be able to make those changes as requested and also just provide that sort of base level monitoring and support to make sure that your app is running. Last but not least is transparency. It's really important to know what's going on with your project, know exactly where it stands, what's planned, what's being worked on currently, and to be able to communicate openly with your project manager and the developers on the team. So look for a development agency that has a high degree of transparency and look at their reviews, see how other people's experiences have been working with them, because the last thing you want is to hand off a really important project to an agency that isn't going to give you regular updates and you have no visibility into what's actually going on, how the time is being spent. That's really, really important, not just for your peace of mind, but also to make sure that you end up with a successful result and that it's being built efficiently. At Ksense, we actually developed our own application for our clients to be able to see exactly what's going on with their project. They can log in at any time and they can see all of the tasks that are planned and being worked on, and they can schedule a meeting with their project manager directly. Transparency is huge. Make sure that you have good communication with the people who
who are working on your project.
And there you have it. Those are the top 6 things that everyone should think about before starting a software project. I hope it's been helpful. I kept it pretty brief and high level just so that we could cover each of these topics, but we have more resources on our YouTube channel or on our blog at ksensetech.com. If you have questions or want to find out how to get started, feel free to schedule a free consultation with us. We'll be more than happy to help you with your project.